Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income. Listen and learn how 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate to create a lifestyle that most people only dream about. A lifestyle that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here is your host, real estate investor and mentor, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon and welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. As always, we're here talking about building a second stream of income with real estate to, build a better life, a life that's worth living. That's the name of my introductory workshop, Building a Life Worth Living with Real Estate. And I promised you from day one that we would talk about all the parts of a balanced life on the GetRealWealth.com show, because it's not, even though our focus is real estate investing most of the time, it's not a real estate investing show. It's a wealth show. And wealth, as it says at the beginning of the show, is much, much more than just money. You have spiritual wealth, emotional wealth, physical wealth, and so on. And at the beginning, 2 or 3 months ago, I did a show on fitness and energy, and I meant to do that once a month, but I kind of got distracted because all the questions that come in are always real estate related, almost always. But I got a couple of questions over the last couple of days asking me to do this, if you will, a workshop on energy, which is really a workshop on exercise and fitness. And I want to talk about that today. Then I'm going to share some ideas with you from Jim Rohn about success in general. So today is kind of a foundational show. This is the basic. You got to have what we're talking about today to be successful as a real estate investor or any type of investor or any type of business that you choose. Because remember, I don't just say real estate's the only way to go. I think it's the easiest way to go. I think it's the most effective way to go, since it accounts for 90% of the millionaires in the world. But this is foundational. You've got to have these things before you can go and become a real estate investor. And it starts from this person, this email, talking about their energy levels. They're like, look, I want to be a real estate investor. I want to do more with my life. I want to get more out of life. And this was a younger person. I believe they were in their 30s. But already feeling tired from working 40, 50 hours a week, a couple of kids, and of course a spouse. And just making the comment, I'm too tired to exercise. And I always marvel at that, because the exact opposite is true. You're not too tired to exercise. You're tired because you don't exercise. See, when I look at all my highly successful friends, and I think I said this on the last show, I was calling around to a group of 22 millionaires, syndicators, and it was about 7 or 8 in the morning, which was my mistake. I didn't even realize how early it was until I noticed that all of them were at the gym. They were picking up their phones, breathing hard, sweating, going, yeah, call me back later. And after about the third phone call, I just stopped and then called back, after 9 or 10 to get a hold of them. But they were at the gym. And I work out early, usually from 5:30 to 6:30 or 6 to 7, and knock it out. And the reason I do that, so that you don't think I'm some amazing guy with all this discipline, it's hard for me to get to the gym. If I don't work out in the morning, guess what? I don't go. I cannot get myself to the gym in the afternoon. Now, there's other people that it's the exact opposite. They can't get to the gym in the morning, but they like to work out after they finish work or midday. That's another one. People who work out on their lunch break. I've never been able to do that effectively. So please don't think I'm some amazing guy, I'm different or super disciplined. It's just I have to work out in the morning. It starts my day. And the reason I do it is because I'm 55 and I noticed at about 47, 48, my energy level's dropping. You know, getting old sucks. There's no getting around it. You die at the end. It sucks. So I started changing my routine to adapt to the older age. And what I want to do today is share with you a technique or workout routine that I've used all my life and how I modified it for this age to include more aerobic conditioning. Simple aerobic conditioning, because when I train, I always try to train with an aerobic heart rate, whether I'm training on weights or on a bike or treadmill or whatever, because that's what allows your body to burn fat tissue. That's what allows your body to energize. And real estate investing, when you got a full-time job, you got 2 kids, it takes extra energy, more energy than the average person has. And so training, exercising is an important part of that. It's interesting. I've already got a couple of, well, I can't read this one. Thanks. Let's see who this is from. Brecken. I'm going to read that during the break, and then we'll address it. And then I've got from a good friend of the show, Rolf. This is a funny one. I can't believe he asked this so quickly. But he says, what is your opinion on bioidentical hormones? I've been on bioidentical hormones since I was about 45. When I noticed my body changing and my energy levels dropping, and it became really prominent, as I said a couple years later, 47, 48, I went and had all my hormone levels checked, and guess what? They were all low, ridiculously low. And the reason I knew they were low is because I kept track of them when I was younger. You know, it's hard to say whether you're low because everybody's different. They have ranges, but those ranges are pretty big. So I not only like them, I love them because I was getting irritable. You know, people talk about roid rage. I'll tell you what. If your testosterone drops naturally from aging, you get irritable. Ever heard of an irritable old man? It's because they have no testosterone. Testosterone makes you happy. Now, if you take too much of it, it can make you irritable as well. And we'll talk more after the break. Please stay tuned and send me any questions that you have. I'll try to answer them. If I can't, then I'll get off the show and find the answer for you here at the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. Are you tired of losing money in every down market? Did you know that real estate makes money in both the up and down markets? In fact, we make more money in the down market. Hi, this is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Yes, we are praying for a down market, and you should know why. To find out why, attend our free 2-hour introductory workshop. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis, and we are talking about energy primarily, energy that you will need to be successful at life in general. Yeah, people have a tendency to maintain their fitness just enough to get by, so that they don't feel terrible and they just kind of get through life. Never feeling great, but never feeling bad, just mediocre. And I'm suggesting and I guess I better give you a time. What I'm suggesting is invest 1 hour, 3 days a week. That's it. I do 4, sometimes 5, but my average is probably less than 4, somewhere between 3 and 4. And I feel great. I feel I have all the energy that I want. It also reduces stress. So that's all I'm talking about. My sales pitch is invest 3 hours a week in your fitness. And then I'm going to make a recommendation for what to do during your training. And it comes down to a little thing called progressive resistance exercise. This is weights and machines. Now, a lot of people will close their minds to that. When I worked in the health club industry, I used to have people come in and go, yeah, I want to work out, but I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, and inside you just kind of have to laugh. Unless you're going to work out 6 hours a day, you're not going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. See, people think that just by weight training they're going to get real muscular, or women will become masculine and things like that. It doesn't happen. You would have to train 2+ hours a day on weights, 5 days, 6 days a week, to really achieve or to get that look. And it is also dependent on the number of repetitions that you do. When I was training women, I would keep them, because they wanted, on average, not every woman, I'm just telling you my average, they wanted long, thin, toned muscles. The males wanted big, fat, round muscles. You know, totally different strategy. And what you would do is put the men on weights that they could only do 6 to 12 times. That builds muscle. I put the women on weights that they could do 12 to 15 times. Guess what? That doesn't build too much muscle. It tones, it strengthens, but it's not going to put, if that light of a weight is not going to make you bulk up. The second reason, did I give the first reason? So the first reason, let's hit that one. I don't think I did. The first reason that progressive resistance is so effective is that your body never fully adapts to it. And the problem with classes like aerobics, Zumba, and things like that don't include weights, I know some of those do include weights, is that your body in about 30 to 60 days completely adapts to it, and you don't really get much benefit from it other than cardiovascularly from that point forward. So whatever you look like at the end of 60 days, that you're there. And you say, well, I do it to reduce calories and burn fat. You know, a bagel with cream cheese and jelly, something like 500 calories. Do you know how many calories you burn in a 1 hour class? Less than 500 calories. So just doing classes to lose weight is not an extremely effective. It helps, don't get me wrong, but it is not the way to lose weight. Nutrition and exercise combined will help you lose weight. And the more weight you lose, the more energy you have. Think about it. If you're 20 pounds overweight, 50 pounds overweight, think about carrying a 20-pound weight around with you all day, or a 50-pound weight around with you. Don't you think I would be tired? You strap a 50-pound weight to my back, and I walk, even though I train every day, or 4 days a week, it wouldn't matter. I'm going to be pooped at the end of the day because I'm carrying 50 extra non-performing pounds. Fat is non-performing weight. It just drags you down. So the first reason, again, is for toning. I did hit it, that's right. The first reason is for toning and strengthening. This is so when you're 70, you can still walk upstairs. You know, I know people that buy single-family houses because they've already planned that when they're 70, they won't be able to walk upstairs. That's just a low expectation for life. And you can bet they have low expectations for other parts of their lives as well. Low expectation people have low expectations across the board. Whereas my original fitness mentor, Colonel A.I. Thomas, U.S. Marine Corps retired, he was 80 plus and still walked upstairs. If I'm not mistaken, on his 80th birthday, he bench pressed his weight. That's strong for anybody at any age. If you can do double your weight, you're a madman or madwoman. That's incredible. So it tones and strengthens. And number two, progressive resistance exercise is what speeds the metabolism permanently. Meaning, when you go take an aerobics class, you burn 500 calories. As soon as you stop, and that's an intense class, by the way, some of them don't burn that many. When you stop, the calorie burning stops. Whereas with weights, when you tone your muscle and you have toned, tight muscles, you burn more calories all day, every day. And you have to understand that 70+% of your caloric uptake every day is, guess where? In your muscles. If you have dense, strong muscles, you burn more calories every day. You know, I sit with people and they're not aware that I used to be in the health club industry, and they'll go, man, my metabolism's slow. I can look at them and tell you why. You have no muscle. You've let your muscle atrophy. People who only walk, I'm just going to walk. Sorry, that's without a doubt the most uninformed concept. So you're suggesting to me that you're going to walk and let your shoulders, biceps, triceps, back, and chest atrophy away, and that's good for you? It's obviously not. It's like runners that don't lift weights. Ludicrous. You're just letting the rest of your body atrophy away. In the short run, I guess there's some benefit to it. Oh, let me be careful. That came out wrong. There's tremendous benefit to running. What I mean is, when you're young and your testosterone's high, progesterone's high, your HGH is high, yeah, you're going to maintain some of them. But when you get older, you're just going to let it atrophy away. If you're just running or walking, don't do that. Incorporate even, and this is the fun thing, 15 minutes. That's what you need. If you like to run for 45 minutes, excellent. Then take 15 minutes and go through a circuit, hitting every body part that you missed when you were running. It takes 15 minutes. Progressive resistance exercise. So it tones and strengthens and speeds up your metabolism. The third one is really funny to me. It prevents certain diseases. I'm like, just from lifting weights? Yeah, there's a group of diseases, and the most important one to me and my family is Alzheimer's. You know why I lift weights? Because it's the number one preventer of Alzheimer's, according to a couple of articles I read. I'm sure there's articles that counter that, blah, 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 but I'm just telling you what I read. So that's why I train, to keep that muscle tight and to put off the effects of Alzheimer's, which is in my family. So then I mentioned keeping an aerobic heart rate, burning fat. So there's number 4. We've got tone and strengthen, increase your metabolism permanently, reduce your risk of certain diseases, including Alzheimer's, and I better address, oh yeah, I know what I was going to address, and get your body burning fat tissue. Now, some of you are going, well, I thought that was what aerobic conditioning was for. That is correct. But what I do is I incorporate aerobic training while I lift weights. And the way that I do that is by going and keeping my heart rate in the aerobic zone while I lift weights. At first, it's difficult. And the way I did it at first was something I learned at Bally's Health and Tennis Corporation. They would alternate machines, an upper body machine, then a lower body machine, then an upper body machine, lower body, and so on. So do legs, then biceps, then another leg exercise, then chest, another leg exercise, then shoulders. And what happens is your body sends the blood to whatever muscle you're using. So when you do that, your heart has to speed up and push the blood to your legs. Then you do a chest exercise. Your heart has to speed up and pull the blood up to the chest. And we'll talk more about that in just a moment here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. You can call me, by the way, 281-558-KSEV. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. Real estate accounts for more millionaires in America than any other investment vehicle. This second stream of income can truly change your life. More time for travel and romance, more time for family and fitness, more time for whatever you want to do with your life. To find out how to build this second stream of income, attend our free 2-hour introductory workshop on real estate investing. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis, and today we're talking about really health and fitness, but remember the main motivation is to increase those energy levels so you're a better husband, a better wife, a better son or daughter, you're a better employee, and you're a better investor. Energy is required for everything. And the greater surplus of energy that you have, the more you're going to accomplish with your life. If you sit and you don't exercise at least 3 times a week, your body is atrophying. Your muscle tissue is atrophying, your metabolism is slowing, your fat content is going up, and your energy levels are dropping. And the problem with it is it's so slow and subtle that most people don't notice it until they're 30, 40 pounds overweight and they feel like crap. So be careful. Don't let that happen to you. And I've covered as much as I want to cover. My sales pitch is 3 days a week, 1 hour. If you want to do 4, that's fine. Train with weights, at least 15 of those minutes, where you hit that upper body. And the reason I say it only takes 15 minutes, because you really only have to hit the upper body. If the other 45 minutes you're walking or running, treadmill, stairs, or whatever, you can hit the lower body. If you want, you can incorporate legs into that progressive resistance. I do. And if you do it that way, then do what I just described. Either go so fast from weight to weight that you keep your heart rate in an aerobic beats per minute, or alternate upper body and lower body exercises, because that will force your heart to speed up and you'll be in an aerobic state whether you like it or not. You don't even have to try when you do that. That type of circuit training is tremendously effective, and what it will do is get your body burning fat tissue instead of just sugars, and that's a more consistent, higher energy level you're going to have for you, for work, for family, for romance, for whatever. So there's my sales pitch, and I think it's important to incorporate that into your life, especially if you have children. You've got to lead by example. If you don't keep yourself fit, you're giving your children permission, you're even instructing them to be unhealthy. So be cautious of that. You are responsible for those little kids and what they see. You're leading by example whether you think you are or not. So since you are, take that 3 hours a week, keep yourself fit, and keep those energy levels up. It will make you a better husband, wife, investor, employee. It's amazing. Okay, the next thing that I want to go into is I've been doing a lot of research, trying to expand and go into different people's work. As you know, I'm a huge fan of Stephen Covey's work, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm a huge fan of Anthony Robbins. Those are really my two favorites because their books changed my life the most. But what I've been studying is the work of Jim Rohn, and it's really interesting because he's really the father of motivation. Because when he talks, he says stuff, and I go, I heard Tony Robbins say that. I heard Robert Kiyosaki say that. But he said it years ago. We're talking decades before they did. Amazing, amazing stuff. So, in this particular discussion, what I want to do is just share with you and kind of cross-reference the idea that these ideas are everywhere. You've just got to look for them. And when you do, you begin to realize that there's nothing new. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's just a matter of getting out there, getting this information, and then acting on it. One of the things that we talk about on the show occasionally is setting goals. And it happens to be one of Jim Rohn's first. He's got 7 strategies for wealth and happiness, which is interesting that he separated those two. What he's talking about by wealth, I guess, is strictly monetary wealth, because I consider happiness part of wealth. My wealth, the majority of my wealth, is my family, then my fitness, then money. Well, times before money as well. So he's broken it down to where we're talking about money and happiness. And then happiness, I'm going to assume, is going to cover family, fitness, relationships, all the other parts of a balanced life. And the first thing that he says, use focused goals. There's many different explanations for why this is so important. But one of the most dangerous things that I ever learned was that to be careful what you ask for, because you'll probably get it. Be careful what you ask for, because you'll probably get it. And this goes back to the goal setting where we talked about the middle class have a tendency, the middle class and the poor have a tendency to set goals for symbols. They want the cars, the watches, the clothes, the houses, and that's their focus. Whereas the wealthy, their focus is on income-producing assets. And the neat thing is, by focusing on income-producing assets, you get the cars, the jewelry, the clothes, and so on. So here's what he says. Your dreams are a projection of the life you wish to lead. When you have the clarity of a goal, living your dream life becomes so much easier. Without goals, it's impossible to manage your time effectively and achieve your dream life. So, when I urge you to write down your goals, I also urge you to read about and study the goals of successful people. You'll notice that they're different from the poor and the middle class. That your goal, your number one financial goal, needs to be, I want a second stream of income that meets and exceeds my wants and needs. See, that's seldom, if ever, written down on the poor and the middle class goals. They don't know to think about that. They're conditioned to believe that your income comes from a job. And that's what you do. You get a job, You climb the corporate ladder. You want to make more money, you work harder. You want to make more money, you get a second job. That's all they know. And it's really sad. This is why I volunteer and speak to high school students. I'll be speaking tomorrow morning to a group of high school students, trying to get that into their heads so that they don't suffer with the same, if you will, fears and insecurities about money that I did when I was growing up and first got out on my own. So there's his number one point, his number one strategy. Make sure you've got, as Covey would say, effective goals. Number two, seek knowledge. Success leaves clues. Go look at what successful people are doing. How did they get to be so successful? What are their habits? What are their tactics and strategies? Find out and use the same success strategies yourself. When seeking knowledge, be especially aware of the negatives or stumbling blocks holding you back. Once you can identify your negative habits, you can begin to replace them with successful positive habits. So the first one I want to bring up, and I said I would compare these, success leaves clues. You know that I've heard that from Stephen Covey. I've heard that from Anthony Robbins. I heard it from Zig Ziglar. But the first person to say it, Jim Rohn. Amazing how much he helped so many people. It's such a, death sucks. By the way, Jim Rohn has passed away. Okay, number three, learn how to change. You are what you read. All leaders are readers. If you've become too busy to read, stop making excuses and start reading again. In the morning, at bedtime, during your lunch break, be disciplined by starting small and fitting a few pages in wherever you can. One bonus hack for making positive change. Ask the most successful person you know who's the most successful person they know. Then take that person out to dinner and pick their brain to learn more success tips. So reading, attending seminars, and again, who says that? Anthony Robbins. Who you are 5 years from now, it's a guy named Tremendous Jones who said it first. Who you are 5 years from now will be a direct result of the books you read and the people you meet. If you're not meeting new people and you're not reading books, then you're going to stagnate and be the same person in 5 years, which is death. That is a bad, bad thing. All right, we'll be back after the break with more of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question for me or a comment or an encouraging word for the other listeners, give me a buzz at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Thanks for listening. Hi, this is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Catastrophes happen in the U.S. and around the world on a regular basis, causing tremendous financial difficulty for those unprepared. However, some people are prepared. These are the people with a second stream of income. This month, we are offering a free 2-hour workshop on how to use real estate to build a second stream of income for your family. For reservations, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis, and we're talking about some works by Jim Rohn, and I really highly recommend you read anything that you can get by him. I really enjoy listening to him because he's very humorous, and he makes points in funny ways that help you remember it more effectively. So check out any CD that you can by Jim Rohn, and it's R-O-H-N. R-O-H-N is in Nancy. The next point that he brings up is you got to control your money. That most people allow the money to control them. They take jobs out of state, move away from their family for an extra few thousand a year or some opportunity. You don't want, there is opportunity everywhere. And to make a money decision, to move away from your family and friends, is a money decision. And when you make money decisions, money's controlling you. So be cautious of that. He goes on to say, to have more than you've got, you have to become more than you are. Are you becoming more than you are so you can be more successful, to improve yourself and make more money, be happier, and live your dream life? Stop just wishing things were easier. Instead, wish you were stronger. Wish that you had more wisdom and greater strength. And this again goes back to number 3, which is learn how to change. Learn how to grow. 5, master time. Time is your most important resource. We all have what I would call a very limited amount of birthdays before our clock expires. Knowing you're going to die someday can inspire you to stop wasting your time, eliminating anything stunting your growth, and follow your interests. Don't be afraid to make yourself a little uncomfortable in order to break through your growth plateaus. Your time is ticking. And to me, this is probably my biggest motivator, was time. At age 27, when that financial planner describes saving $600 a month for 30 years and then, or 40 years, and then I'd have $1 million at 65, I couldn't care less. I'm 65. My life is not gone, but most of it's gone. I'm not going to live to be 130. So use time as a motivator. Look at your present age. Did you ever expect to be this old? Those of you who know, who answered that no, know exactly what I'm talking about. Time flies. You know, you think about Michael Jackson's song Beat It or Thriller. Those songs are 40 years old. That was 40 years ago. Incredible how quickly 40 years went by. Number 6. You've got to surround yourself with winners. This is such a basic concept. The rule that Tony Robbins talks about is that you're the average of your 5 best friends. You're not the best. You're the average. Now, when people say that, everybody goes, no, I'm the best of my... The other 4 think they're the best. You're the average. Average them. That's who you are. And I'm not saying to get rid of your friends or stop loving and caring about your friends, but make sure, as we've discussed before, that you're meeting new people every year. You want to be not the dumbest person in the room, but if you're the smartest person in the room, you don't need to be there. You need to be in a room where there's people smarter than you so that you can grow. So make sure you join groups. This is kind of a sales pitch for Real Wealth Academy, like ours, where you're hanging out with wannabe millionaires and millionaires so that you can adapt their habits, beliefs, and so on. 7, learn how to live well. This one is very closely related to John Wooden's comment that a life not in the service of others is not a life worth living. A life not in the service of others is not a life worth living. The way that Jim Rohn puts it, you can be happier by becoming the person who gives a little more to the world. Plus, contribution makes some of us more motivated to make money. But success isn't always just money. Even though the media and our friends love to talk about the importance of being a billionaire, don't blindly chase other people's versions of success. Instead, spend the time to figure out what truly makes you happy. Then invest in things that give you joy. And this really is, I've gone through these 7 points and given my opinions on them. But this does not replace reading Jim Rohn. Let's see if I can figure out which book this comes from. Oh, 7 Strategies for Wealth. And I gave you that already. I'm sorry. Jim Rohn's 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness. And I believe that's available in Kindle as well as audio. So check that book out and then start taking action on it. It is very important that you don't just listen to this show and go, wow, I did something today. No, you just listen to a show. Make sure that you execute on something, hopefully 1, 2, 3, or 4 points from the show so that you truly benefit from the knowledge. You know, as Robin says, knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. I joke about it, but I know people better looking than me, smarter than me, that are struggling. They're in trouble. And I don't understand why, except that they're not growing. They're not pushing themselves. They're not learning new stuff every day. And you've got to do that if you're going to succeed. So, again, the book is The 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness by Jim Rohn. So if you want to study those 7 points, do so with that book. I got a couple of emails here, so let's go to them. We only got a couple more minutes. This is a new wholesaler ready to network named Janelle. Janelle, this is exactly your... I'm not going to read the whole email, but you are absolutely right. It is time to network. In fact, that's the first thing to do as a wholesaler. A lot of wholesalers make the mistake of going out and finding deals. And then they have a deal and nobody to sell it to. I don't even know how that makes sense. It doesn't make sense. You want to build your buyer's list first. And she asks if Real Wealth Academy likes wholesalers and allows wholesalers to build buyers lists. The answer is absolutely. Absolutely. So please attend our webinar this Thursday, and you'll see what we're doing, how our mentoring program works, and so on. Okay, next question is, and by the way, my email is open anytime, 24 hours a day. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. If I don't get to you during the show, I will answer it right after the show. Okay, this next one is a good question, but you're getting ahead of yourself. I can tell you that right now. Jazraj, what you've done is you've gone out and found a deal, and your description of the deal sounds good. Sounds like a winner deal. But you actually have no information with which to tell that, because you have not subscribed to a service where you can run comparable sales and run rents. See, you're missing the rental information and you're missing the comparable sales in your email. Now, don't beat yourself up. Just realize this is indicative of someone who has not taken a course on real estate investing, because everybody thinks to go find a deal and something magical will happen and you'll be able to do the deal. That is not how it works. You've got to join a group. You've got to take a course, learn the best practices, learn the business model, then go look at the deals. Here's what's going to happen. You probably know 1, 2, maybe 3 ways to do deals right now. You take a weekend class, you come out of there knowing 10 different ways to do deals. You find 3 times as many deals. It's important. So be careful. You're getting the cart before the horse. You need to get the knowledge on real estate investing. Otherwise, you're going to make mistakes like this. And if you move forward on this deal without the comparable sales, without the comparable rents, you could lose tens of thousands of dollars, burn your hand on the stove, and never want to touch the stove again. So be cautious. Make sure you get educated first, whether it's through books, but I really prefer live workshops where you can, what's the word for it? Interact with the speaker and the other people in the room. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Thanks for listening.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.